Something a lot of people don't know about me is I have a part-time job as a private chef, and I cook for this family, and they're not particular about their meals generally, a little bit, but they do have their little likes and dislikes. And today, in an effort to not be quite so bored, I'm going to try to make some meals that I know that they will like. Now, their favorite meals, of course, are breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's what we're going to cook. So let's start with breakfast. All right, we need to do a quick rundown of our ingredients here. We're going to cook some sausage with this French toast because I like a little protein to offset all of the carbs we're about to eat. We have a really nice set of fresh berries that are going to go great with the French toast. And then whipped cream, salt, baking soda, cinnamon, buttermilk, regular butter, heavy whipping cream. Here's the deal. This is not a low-calorie meal. This has plenty of sugar, butter, heavy whipping cream. This is going to be delicious, but is by no means diet-friendly. Also, we're going to use some eggs because my clients are billionaires. We start with the sausage. It takes a little while to cook, and we'll actually finish off with the brioche bread French toast because that's the easiest and goes the quickest. So let's get started on the sausage. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to get the heat going, and we're going to put this sausage in our pan like this. Just get all of those in there. So just like that. And then what we want to do is we're going to actually put a little water in there. The water will evaporate. The sausages will be pretty well cooked by then. And then we'll just make sure we get them browned and nice and crisp on the outside, and those will be ready to go. So you can see there on the right, the sausage is simmering away nicely. We'll give that a stir in a bit. But what we're going to do now is make the syrup. Half a cup of butter we'll throw in. Now, we could buy syrup. It's like $3. Right? We can just buy it. It's easy, it's cheap, tastes fine, but that I don't think would really help with the boredom. This is going to be some good sort of caramel syrup. Basically, we're making caramel to put on our French toast. While that butter melts down a little bit for our syrup, we'll just give these a quick stir. Add half a cup of buttermilk. So we'll just go right in with that. It's going to simmer along nicely, and then in addition to that, we need 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I have a 1/4 cup measuring cup here because it's easy to scoop it out of the bag. And then my math education is paying off because 3/4 of a cup of sugar means 3 of these 1/4 scoops. So that's good that I paid attention in math class. So what we want to do is bring this to a full boil for about a minute. And then we're going to add vanilla and a little baking soda, and essentially we'll have made caramel. But we're going to call it caramel syrup, and we're going to put it on these French toast. Okay, that boiled for a minute. Now we take it off the heat, and what we're going to do is I'm going to add the vanilla. It says 1 teaspoon. I'm always a little more aggressive with the vanilla than the recipe says. And then the baking soda goes in. And then we give this a stir and watch it froth up like that. That's exactly what you want to see happen. And just give this a good whisk. And as that cools down, that's going to become some delicious caramel syrup. Okay, let's turn our attention to the custard for the French toast. Now we're going to start out with about $8 worth of eggs. All right, 5 eggs into the pool, just like that. And then we're going to do some heavy whipping cream. And I like this to be kind of thick like a custard, not super runny. So like a batter, like pancake batter even. Yeah, see, that's looking really nice, good and thick. We want this whisked in really, really well. We want those eggs fully incorporated. Now, with the eggs and cream mixed together, we can add in just a little bit of salt. Salt always goes from container to hand to food. That's how you know how you're making sure you're getting the right amount of salt. We just need a little salt here. We're not trying to make anything savory, but a little salt is going to help. And then a good bit of cinnamon. And then I like to add a good bit of sugar as well. Probably 1/4 cup anyway, almost out. And then, where's my vanilla? Got to put some vanilla in. I think I put it away. Yes, I did. Make sure we get a good amount of vanilla in there. All right, and then we'll just give this a whisk. Oh yeah, it's coming together nicely. This is going to be some delicious French toast. And we want plenty of butter in here. I'm doing about half of a stick of butter. We just want to swirl this around. Let's get it melted. Just like that. That's what you want to see right there, nice sizzling butter. All right, let's get bread in. This part is really easy. Just put the bread in the custard, slosh it around a bit, and then take it over right to the hot butter in the electric skillet. No big deal. One of the things that's important here is as you put each slice in the skillet, you need to give it a little tap. Just let the bread know it's okay and it's going to be delicious. Makes it cook a whole lot better. What I like to do is let it cook until it's about halfway done, and then I go ahead and flip it over and cook it the rest of the way. I seem to get really good results that way. I grabbed a couple of pieces of French toast. Now that it's cooked, it is very nice and crispy on the outside, and the insides I can tell are soft, very soft, which is exactly what we want. I also grabbed a little sausage here, but let's plate this. So what I like to do is just grab a couple of strawberries, just put them on like this. Find a good one here. Yeah, that looks good. So a few strawberries in there, and then we'll grab a few blackberries like this, and definitely some raspberries. All right, let's put a few right on there. Just like that, and then a few blueberries. Make the plate nice and delicious. And of course, got a little bit of this whipped cream. But before we do that, we got to get the syrup on here. I've put a little syrup in here. Now this syrup is incredible. I would eat my own foot if it was smothered in this syrup. But I don't have to because I have good French toast, and French toast is going to be better than my foot. So we'll just pour that on. Look at that. Look at that pour on, like basically it's caramel. We'll just put as much or as little as you like. Oh yeah, just like that. And then just a little bit of whipped cream. Let's do a little more because it's fun. And there you have it. Some good French toast. Hopefully my clients like it, right? There's breakfast. Okay, we made breakfast, ate breakfast, and cleaned it all up, except for the fruit still left. I think I'll eat on that a little bit. My clients weren't super interested in the fruit so much as the French toast and the syrup. So I'll pick on that fruit while we make lunch. For lunch today, we're going to have an American classic, a sandwich and some chips. So let's get started. So here's what we've got for sandwiches. First, we've got the fruit platter I'm still gonna eat on. And then we've got turkey, roast beef, tomatoes, 2 kinds of cheese. I got some good mustard, mayo, and a little horseradish to go with the roast beef. We got some lettuce, we got some oil for frying because we're gonna make our own potato chips. Now what's missing from this ingredient list for sandwiches is bread, and that's because it's sitting right here in its all natural state. And we're gonna mix this all together, bake it in the oven, have some sandwich bread. We're gonna start with 6 cups of flour, and you can't see it because I'm not doing it in front of the camera, but I am scooping it out of the bag, getting it nice and level. In she goes, there's 1. Baking requires patience, of which I have little. There's 2, by the way. I can buy a really good loaf of bread at the store for like $3 or $4. Here comes 4. There's 5. It's all right though, this is fun. This is gonna cure my boredom. All right, 6 cups of flour in. I got this instant yeast that's fast acting, because hopefully this bread will rise, this dough will rise in like a half an hour. Okay, that makes 8 packets of fast acting instant yeast in with the 6 cups of flour. Next up, sugar. I'm gonna put a little sugar in our bread. All right, the last thing we're going to do is about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And I am just going to go ahead and eyeball that, and let's give it a little more just cause. There we go. Okay, I think that's it for the dry ingredients. Okay, the recipe calls for 2 cups of water at 120 degrees. And if you stick your finger in the water and you say, that's a little too warm for a hot tub, but probably won't kill the yeast, then you've got the right temperature of water. With that, we're going to use, the recipe calls for a wooden spoon, a sturdy wooden spoon. I don't have one, so I'm using metal. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the whole thing. And then once we get a shaggy dough, we'll turn it out onto the countertop here that's been cleaned very nicely. And we'll work it into what most people are familiar with when we look at bread dough. All right, now the fun hard part. Get this turned out onto the counter. And hopefully it doesn't stick a lot and it comes together. Right now it feels a little dry. This could be epic failure. You hand washing people need to understand that this is just food. It's not heart surgery. It's starting to come together like dough. All right, there we are. Okay, with the dough rising, we're going to turn our attention to the potato chips. Got a 5-pound bag of russets. Born and bred in Idaho. First thing we're going to do is peel them. Don't worry, we'll wash them in a minute, but right now I just want to get all the peel off because I don't like any peel on my potato chips. I was just kidding about the hand washing comment earlier. The fact is, I have a really good track record of washing my hands pretty much almost the same amount of times as I use the bathroom in a day. Seriously though, even though I haven't shown it on the video, at this point in the process, I've washed my hands at least 10 times and maybe more. I think what would have been really handy right here is to have a mandolin. That's a thing that helps you slice quickly and safely. Instead, I'm using this potato peeler and doing my very best not to shave my knuckles along with the potatoes. So we got our chips there, ready to go, but we want to leach out a little of the starch from the potato. So I'm just going to put some ice cubes in. And then I'm going to take this over to the sink here. Should have emptied the sink out before I tried this. Now let's make sure we got cold water running. And we're just going to put some cold water in these potatoes. Hopefully that'll dry out some of the starch, make the chips crunchier. The potatoes are soaking nicely in ice water. The bread dough is trying to rise over there behind me. So we're going to go ahead and get our loaf pans ready. What we want to do is grease them a little bit so that bread comes out easy. So I just take a napkin and get a nice scoop on the napkin like that. There we go. Don't need a lot. And then we just get down in there and get all the... Okay. 2 greased loaf pans ready to go. Now all we got to do is wait for that dough to rise and then we'll be on our way to making some bread. The bread dough does not look very good. Doesn't look right. But we're going to work with it. So the first thing I want to do is just pop it out here. Just want to cut it in half. So we get a nice sharp knife. We'll just cut right down the middle, give or take. Form it into a bit of a loaf, not much, and put it into our greased pans here. Just like this, right? Okay, and then get this out of the way, and then what we want to do is just score it a little bit, not too deep, not very many. These are ready for the oven. We're going to do something a little unorthodox, at least that I know of. We're going to start with a cold oven. And this pan is full of water. We're going to put it down here without making too much of a mess. Like that. And then we're going to grab our 2 loaves of bread. Slide those in just like that. Now, I know what you're thinking. We got to put heat to it or it's not going to work, right? Those won't cook. You're exactly right. So we're go to bake. We're going to go to 400 degrees. And then while we're at it, right up here, I'm just going to say timer 40 minutes. Go. And in 40 minutes, that bread in there should be ready to go. This is where I'm going to catch or put the cooked chips in here. I've got my salt in my favorite Christmas mug that will sprinkle on the chips right as they come out. Here's where we're going to cook it. I haven't poured the oil in or anything, but we're going to get that oil to 350. Cook the potatoes there. That's what we're going to scoop them with. Here's our oil. But you might recall we put our potatoes in water. And if you put water in boiling hot oil, you end up with a little bit of a mess on your hands. So I've got this little station set up where we're going to put the potatoes on this tea towel and then use this one to dab them off, get them as dry as we can. Whew, it's hot. Oh no. Oh, good. Whew, looked like it wanted to spill over a little. The oil's not hot enough. It's hard to not get impatient and get those chips out of there because I want them to cook. I got so many yet to go. I also have a pretty good pile going, and they came out all right so far. Taste all right. The bread has cooled down, so we're going to come over here and we'll just give it a slice. It's pretty dense inside. Slice a couple of pieces off. There we go. Got our homemade bread here. We're going to go ahead and assemble a sandwich. I'm going to start with some mayonnaise, prepared horseradish. It's just good old horseradish. And then I like to put some of this shredded lettuce, grab a couple of fresh sliced tomatoes, and grab this roast beef. I'm just going to fold it on there. I like Havarti cheese to go. And then just put the lid on it. Now that sandwich, look at that thing. That is virtually impossible to eat. Lunch is served. A couple of things on this one. Number one, it took forever. Making this bread and the chips took forever. Because of that, this is what I would call an extremely late lunch or possibly an early dinner. My clients aren't going to like it too much, but I am not going to make any more food today. They are on their own for dinner. I know we've got some leftover pizza in there. They'll do just fine with that. But we do have good sandwiches and chips right now. Another thing is this bread. This right here. This is somewhere between $3 and $4 at the grocery store. And sometimes I order it on Walmart.com and have it delivered to my doorstep. So it's $4 and it comes right to my house. It's way easier than making the bread. And I think it tastes a little better. The chips, however, were a lot of fun and came out pretty good. Now, the big question, well, there's two big questions. One of them is, does it taste good? And we'll get to that in a second. But this, I don't think, is a good cure for boredom. This felt like a chore. This felt like I was working. This one is like kind of in the middle as far as solving my boredom. Still fun, and I've got a lot of good homemade food in front of me, but it was a lot of work, and I'm not trying to do work, I'm trying to have fun. Okay, now, let's just go ahead here, get a big ol', Oh, pretty good. Pretty dang good.